Angry Bears Fan Podcast, episode 99. We are one away from 100. It was a long journey, but bear with us. Like, follow, subscribe, keep it up. We're at about 8,000 subs. Really would like to get to 10,000 by the draft. So, everybody who's commenting and subscribing and all that stuff, we appreciate it. Keep it up. No real Bears news. We had some good wild card games. Um, uh, and little new Mike Vrabel signed. No, and then everybody's just shuffling and waiting. Some Deion Sanders news came out about the Cowboys. The Raiders are very interested in Ben Johnson. So we won't keep you
Well,
guys too long this week, but we'll get through
I
some of
mean,
it.
realistically, there is one piece of Bears news. They do have their head coaches at like 20. It's like 20 total. However, tonight at midnight, Mike McCarthy's contract officially ends with Dallas. They're not bringing him back, and he is going to be in Hallis Hall tomorrow
Tomorrow, yes.
for an in-person interview. Um, I'm gonna I'm just gonna say this and get it over with. That's probably your Chicago Bears head coach. I don't think Ben Johnson even makes it in the building. Um, this is just I don't know. With all the names, casting a wide net, you should have been at 6, 7 names max.
That
They got the Rooney rules satisfied with Ron Rivera. From what I understand, they interviewed Ron Rivera in
Thomas
person.
Brown doesn't count.
No, Thomas Brown doesn't count because he's already in the organization. So that doesn't count. But I'm not saying Mike McCarthy gets hired tomorrow, but I expect by sometime next week. That's probably who your Bears head coach is going to be. I know we talked a little bit about Mike McCarthy and how we wouldn't mind a Mike McCarthy hire, but I don't know. Uh, Bears could do a lot worse than Mike McCarthy. Don't get me wrong.
That's what I would say. And
I
we
just
have done a lot worse. Not that we can do. We always have done.
yeah, I
Have we
just
had a Ditka? Like even then, it's like he got one Super Bowl just like McCarthy. And that was my only gripe about it. Is like Bears fans, sort of like with Caleb and being done with Justin, are zeroed in on Ben Johnson. It feels like for a lot of Bears fandom, it's Ben Johnson or bust. And just I don't. It just sucks that they're going to make a deep playoff run, possibly. I mean, for the Bears' sake, hopefully they lose this week so they can fucking interview them. But it just puts us in a weird timetable where can the Bears afford to play the waiting game and then miss out on Ben Johnson? So and like I said last week, I like, and you just said, I think we could do a lot worse than Mike McCarthy. I think a lot of Bears fans want to hit a home run, but I think sometimes you have to be content with hitting a double. And you know what I mean? And then like maybe Mike McCarthy's offensive coordinator hire, defensive coordinator hire. Well, you know what I mean, to use another baseball analogy, drive us home. I don't know what it is, but I think trying to knock it out of the park is tough just because sure, Ben Johnson, he calls up some great, he schemes up some great stuff, but who knows how does that translate on another team? It just normally doesn't. Even some of the best OCs or play callers have switched over to head coach and it just didn't work out. And that's not an indictment on Ben Johnson. I don't know or if he will be good or bad. What I do know is Mike McCarthy is an above average head coach, and that we could do a lot worse getting. And he's not my first choice. I feel like I would be content with that. I wouldn't be leaping up and down, but I just think I would be fine with it. I really liked Vrabel. Once the Patriots fired Gerard Mayo, it seemed evident that he wasn't
yeah,
going to
we
get
all knew
there.
that was going to happen.
I really like Brian Flores as well. People are sour on him because he basically lost his other job because he couldn't, not because he was a bad coach, but just because he was butting heads with their young quarterback.
It
Um,
wasn't just the quarterback though. It was he had 5 different coordinators. Essentially, you know what I'm saying? He burned a lot
I
of
was seeing
bridges
Ben Johnson was one of them, wasn't it? I thought, but
with a lot of assistant coaches and everything else like that. And Brian Flores did fire Ben Johnson
yeah,
when he was in Miami. So I mean, there's a lot more than just the whole Tua situation with Brian Flores. Granted, he hasn't been in that position for a while, and you can learn from coaching and stuff like that. Um, but really, I mean, Mike McCarthy would have been third on my list behind Ben Johnson and Joe Brady. You know what I'm saying? But it seems like those two guys are going to be making deep playoff runs, and like you said, um, with because we got to figure right. The Jets job's open, Jacksonville's open. New Orleans is open, and Vegas.
Out of all those, I
So
would imagine the Bears is the Bears and Jags, just because location for the Jags, but they had the same dysfunctional front office. I won't call Caleb shaky, but the Jags have a shaky franchise quarterback that you're stuck with. Similar, you know what I mean? Just a young quarterback that you're going to have to deal with. He's your guy. There's a lot of smoke for Ben Johnson, the Raiders. I don't really see it. They don't draft well. They don't have anything.
no, but there's a lot of like the whole Tom Brady factor and all this other stuff, and I saw on the whole on like Twitter and stuff like that, people are kind of salty because like NFL rules stipulate that teams cannot speak to head coaching candidates and stuff like that while their team's in the playoffs and stuff. But Tom Brady's calling the Detroit game on Sunday, so he's going to have access to Ben Johnson when he technically shouldn't, I guess you can say. With the NFL rules in place and everything else like that. Um, you know, we from all intents and purposes, from what we've heard, we know that Ben, or at least we've heard that Ben Johnson does want the Bears job, right?
Yes.
So you have three candidates, that you're really looking at. You're looking at Ben Johnson, Joe Brady, even Todd Monken from Baltimore is another name to look out for, and Mike
He's a
McCarthy.
Chicago
So
native, I was reading too.
so
He's
you
from
got
here.
four. You got four people really, with five different openings. The chances of the Bears not landing one of them is very slim. At least I would think so. So do they have time? Maybe. But you don't want to be behind the eight ball. You don't want to be behind, the rest of the teams and stuff like that. Because let's just say, for example, let's say McCarthy goes,
He's not waiting
I don't
around.
know.
He'll probably take the
Yeah,
Jets job.
let's see, well, the Jets really want from what I understand, the Jets' number one target is Aaron Glenn. Um so is the Saints. The Saints' number one target's Aaron Glenn. But let's just say, McCarthy goes Jacksonville. Um Ben Johnson, really, then Ben Johnson, Joe Brady, and Tom Bakken, in terms of offensive coordinators going for head coaching positions. If Mike McCarthy does decide to go to, Jacksonville or, whatever, you're really down to two teams, and that's, Vegas and Chicago. And with, two teams, even if, let's say, McCarthy takes the Raiders job, you're still down to Chicago and Jacksonville. Three offensive, names, two teams, you're bound to get one. So can you wait? Yeah, but do you want to settle or do you want to, go for which is why they should have done what the Raiders did from the get-go. I think the Bears front office and the Bears ownership and stuff like that, they had seen, all the negativity that everybody was saying about their last head coaching search and how it was so small and yada yada yada. So now they're trying to prove everybody
Yeah.
wrong that oh no, we're
Overcompensate.
yeah, they're 100% overcompensating. What they should have come out and did was exactly what the Raiders did and was like, Ben Johnson's our number one guy.
Yeah, we'll
We
interview.
want
Yeah.
Ben Johnson, or we want so and so. Just like New Orleans did with Aaron Glenn, just like the Jets did with it's Kevin Warren and George McKay. There's too many cooks in the kitchen. This needed to be Ryan Poles' decision and Ryan Poles' decision only. I feel like if it was Ryan Poles running the search by himself, we wouldn't have 20 fucking names on the list. But since everybody has their hands in it, it's like George is like, oh, I want to hire, I want to interview this guy. Then Kevin Warren's like, I want to interview this guy. And then, HR ladies like, I want to interview this guy. Why? Why the fuck are you even in the room? Like,
Yeah, I
I don't
agree.
know.
It should have been like five guys, and I agree 100% should have said, leaked it, or even just straight up said it, or made it known to Ben Johnson that we want you. We'll wait. We'll hold off on the coaching search, and if we strike out, we strike out. But this is just confusing, and to me, I get the feeling you're getting too that Mark McCarthy is going to show up. I think he's a good talker. I think we'll be hard pressed unless Ben Johnson's agent or Ben Johnson himself are giving Bears signals that that's the job he really wants. And as long as nothing goes crazy in between them, then he's going to take that job. But you
I
never know.
expect all right, so here's the thing. I expect by Friday of next week, the announcement's made that Mike McCarthy's the head coach of the Bears. If he is not, if that decision has not been made, if that announcement has not been made by Friday of next week, then they are 100% in on either Ben Johnson, Todd Monken, or Joe Brady. Reason being is because those teams are going to have deep playoff pushes. So if Mike McCarthy by next week is not named Bears head coach, then we might have something to talk about in terms of one of those other guys. But I just get this feeling like I've been saying that Mike McCarthy's going to go in, go into Hallis Hall. He's gonna talk himself up. And here's the thing: he doesn't have a bad resume. He really doesn't. He's a Super Bowl winner. He's got more playoff wins over the last 17 years than Mike Tomlin does. And we're always talking about how we trade picks for Mike Tomlin. He's got more playoff wins than Mike Tomlin over the last 15 years. He's got more division titles than
Got a better
Mike
winning
Tomlin.
percentage than
And
Kyle Shanahan.
yeah, Mike McCarthy, like we've been
it's
saying, you could
weird.
do a
It's
lot worse than Mike
yeah.
McCarthy, but it's
I don't get
just
the hate on him. It's all. It's like he wasn't my first choice, but he hits a lot of markers. He's got experience. He's coached in this era. It's not like he's some old guy. Like he was just on the Cowboys. Probably the one of the only stages, if not the only stage bigger than the Bears, is being the Cowboys coach.
yeah, he's not an old head. He does have a modern NFL offense. He is
He
good
he
with
took he
quarterbacks.
took Dak to the next level. So and I've said this before. I like the older coaches because I think they'll have a better chance getting good coordinators to come work for them. I mean, I know it's not impossible for Ben Johnson to get anybody. I just think McCarthy's got connections. He knows people. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't hate it. And I would like to see Ben Johnson because I think that's what the Bears want. I think that might be the best thing for Caleb. I don't know what the best thing is. I think we need some leadership. My number one goal isn't to get a coach to get Caleb to reach his top 5 quarterback potential. Mine is we need some stability at the top to help mold Caleb, but to help mold everybody. This isn't just um, about Caleb. You could have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and still not make the playoffs if your whole team's not in order, if everything's not in order. So I do want to focus on Caleb, but not make that making all our decisions completely based on that. And we saw. I was looking at something. All the best. It said all the best quarterbacks won, but it's also this divisional round or whatever. But I also think it was all the best defenses who played the best defense won. Yeah, it's like Matt Stafford was better than Darnold, but the Rams had 9 sacks and things like that. It's like and Verse balled out. And again, I'll get to bring it up. I really wanted Verse instead of Roma Dunze. And nothing against Rome. I just think he was a luxury pick when we I don't think we were in the position to be making luxury picks. But we'll see. If it's Ben Johnson, if it's Mike McCarthy, whoever it is, Brian Flores, those are the three. I think it'll be one of those three. I think Aaron Glenn's going to take the Saints job. For whatever reason, I just have that feeling. And like I said, I think if Mike McCarthy doesn't end up on the Bears, I think he'll be the Jets coach. I think it's there could be some interesting things that happen. I don't know who's going
No,
to get the Raiders.
it definitely won't be the Jets because Aaron Rodgers, right as of
Aaron
right
Rodgers
now,
is
plays for the
retiring
Jets.
or getting cut or something. I don't think he'll be on the Jets next
As of right now, he still
year.
plays for the Jets. I really want to see Rex Ryan back on the
Yeah, I
sidelines for
like
the
Rex
Jets.
Ryan a
I
lot too.
really do.
But
really
that
do.
just goes with like I like a culture guy. Like Rex Ryan isn't. I mean, he's a great defensive guy, but he's just more of a leader, and I think that's what we need. And in the playoffs right now, I think I was looking at what type of coaches there are. I think it's 4-4 if you count Dan Campbell as an offensive coach because he was a tight end coach, and if you count John Harbaugh as a defensive guy, he's a special teams guy. But 4-4, um, I just don't see the pattern with the offensive coaches. It does. I don't think it really matters. I think the best coach ever was a defensive coach. Andy Reid's coach. He's offense. I think it's really just it's more. It's all like I said. I think it's more players than the coach anyway. Um, I think it's more leadership and culture as well. Guys like John Harbaugh, Dan Campbell, they stick out to me because I think they get the most out of the least. And now they got really talented teams, so they're top dogs. But the Ravens, I mean, they have Lamar, but there's been times where they were just they have a decent team and they play hard. And I want the Bears to get back to we're not a pushover. We're not winning 3 games, 4 games a year. Like we can have a down year and that's us winning 8. We barely miss the playoffs, something like that. But this is embarrassing, and they have to get this right. And I think McCarthy's just a safe pick. Um, I don't think I think there's very little risk in taking McCarthy. I think worst case for McCarthy, it will be the same old, same old. What the fuck is this?
What?
What shit? Can you still see me?
Yeah.
I can't. What the fuck is going on? Right?
Technical difficulties on Sean's
Yeah.
end. You got a fucking Walmart connection?
I don't know what's going on. I can't. Oh, here we go. I don't know what I pressed. That's literally never. We've done 100 of these, literally, and that's never happened before. I don't know what the fuck happened, but like I was saying, McCarthy is low risk. I don't know if low reward is where. I just think that worst case scenario for McCarthy, we'll be having the same conversation we was having with the Cowboys. We couldn't get over the playoff hump to win the Super Bowl, but like I've been harping on, I think the Bears and Bears fandom are too worried about hitting a home run when we're having a hard time getting on fucking base. Um, and I want to be back in the game. And the NFC North ain't going nowhere. Minnesota, like I said, worst. Even if Minnesota takes a step back, they're still a playoff team. They won 14 games this year. And you guys all know, I think JJ McCarthy is way better than Sam Darnold. So I don't think they're going anywhere. I think JJ McCarthy is a gamer. He's a winner, and the Vikings ain't going nowhere. And if Kevin O'Connell
Yeah,
got that out of Sam Darnold,
the clock really struck midnight on Sam Darnold, man. He
yes,
lost himself a lot of money
yes,
the last
that's
couple of
got to
weeks.
be, man. Could you like? I've lost me a couple $100 in gambling or something. Could you imagine going home laying down at night like? And 3 weeks ago, you were about to get a fucking $200 million deal,
And
150
now, yeah, you've
guaranteed.
just lost yourself like 20
He
mil a
might
season.
get, yeah, he's probably gonna get like 25 a year. I don't. It depends where he goes. It's like if I'm the Vikings, no offense to him, it's just like I think Kevin O'Connell could get that out of JJ McCarthy. Get embarrassed in the wild card. Like I like what
Man.
I think that's JJ McCarthy's floor. I think he's really good. I think he's I guess I just think he's better than Sam Darnold. I think he's more mobile. He's young too, so those guys run more, which I think helped him a lot. And I think he listens and he plays complementary football. He came from a pro style where they ran the ball, got first downs, and played good defense. And they said Lions ain't going nowhere. They might lose Ben Johnson, but they're not losing Dan Campbell. And I'm sure, I mean, they'll figure it out. The next man up in the Lions, they won't be too far off. And even though the Packers laid an egg, but just if you're watching that game, and I'm a Packers hater, but just being realistic, they just had a shit ton of injuries. They have an elite defense again that we play well against, but still they're going to be good. So I'm ready for this decision to be made. I'm hoping the Lions lose so we can figure it out. I mean, like, I kind of want to see him win, but I want them to be out of the playoffs so we can interview Ben Johnson and put an end to this. If it's Ben Johnson, if it's McCarthy, if it's Flores, if it's Carroll, um, I want to get.
It's not going to be Pete Carroll.
You don't think so?
No,
No.
not a snowball's chance in hell. It's Pete.
What's wrong? Why don't people like Pete Carroll? I think he's got.
It,
I mean, he's got like fucking Mike McCarthy like credentials, and he won in college. I don't know.
he's also 60 years older than
Yeah,
Mike McCarthy.
that's true. I will agree with that one. That yeah, like Pete Carroll's probably gone like 3 years tops.
Yeah,
Mike McCarthy's probably
Pete
got another
Carroll.
5 to 10 of them.
Yeah, Pete Carroll is 73 years old. You know what I'm saying? Like, granted, he's in great shape for a 73-year-old man, but it's not gonna be a 5, 10 year coaching job for him. Mike McCarthy's what, 60,
Yeah,
somewhere around there, 55, 60, something like that, 60, probably in the 60s. He's probably got 10 years in him. Which is I mean, I don't know. Andy Reid's getting up there in age as well.
if they win this year, Andy Reid's retiring. Matt Nagy's going to be the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe Steve Spagnuolo.
I don't think it's going to be Spags.
I
But yeah,
mean,
no, it's crazy to think about. 3 years ago we were in this. You know, of course, 3 years ago we weren't expecting Matt Eberflus to be named head coach. So I don't know. Maybe they'll pull the wool
I
over
was just watching something. We
over our
passed
eyes.
on Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, and Jada.
Well, we also passed on Bruce Arians.
That's
When
true.
we, you know what I'm saying, when we hired Matt Nagy. You know what I'm saying. We passed on a lot over the last, well, since Lovie Smith has, was fired. We passed on a lot of coaches. Realistically, we could have had Andy Reid. Could have had Andy Reid, and we messed that one up as well. It's just it's astonishing the failure, organizational failure from top to bottom. Since Lovey's been fired, we need some stability at that head coaching position. We need somebody who's going to be here longer than their first contract. Hopefully,
Definitely.
we need somebody who's going to come in and get the most out of these guys. Like you said, we need somebody who's going to mold and shape Caleb. And a lot of people want somebody with head coaching experience. So all the Mike McCarthy haters out there, I understand. I get it. It's not the sexy
I don't
hire.
even know if they hate him. I just really think a lot of them have their hearts set on Ben Johnson.
We could do a lot worse than
Yes,
Mike McCarthy, guys.
yes. I think we have historically always done a lot worse than Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
But
So I mean, realistically, we'll see what happens. We'll know more here within the next week or so. What the Bears are going to be doing. Like I said, if Mike McCarthy's the guy, I fully expect it to be done and official by next week. I really do.
I think they're gonna wait. I don't know. I don't know. I think Poles knows how important to everybody that it is. We at least give it the best effort to get Ben Johnson. I don't looking at the landscape of things outside of Tom Brady, who's a partial owner, right? Like not even
10%.
so it's just like he's a part of the organization. What is there to look for the Raiders? Why would Ben Johnson want to go to the Raiders? There's nothing. Jets, dysfunctional.
Handpicked. He'll get a handpicked GM because they fired Tom
Yeah,
Telesco.
but then there's going to be a dead year. They're not getting a quarterback unless they plan
No.
on Sam Darnold being the quarterback. So it's like they got no
Well,
quarterback, no
so let
hope
me
but
ask you
get a
this:
quarterback.
over under 60% chance that Ben Johnson steps foot in Hallis Hall for an interview.
I would say under right now, just because I think what you think. I mean, I think Mike McCarthy's probably a hell of an interview. He checks all the boxes, and what I would say to people is like, if Ben Johnson is 80% as good as Mike McCarthy's, we would be happy. So it's like I don't know why we like unless we're just assuming that like Mike McCarthy just sucks now and he don't know what the fuck he's doing, but he's coached somewhere with more pressure than being the Bears coach. And there's not many places that you could go do that. He's dealt with dysfunctional ownership. And it's like he molded I mean, I think Caleb's far more talented than Dak was, but he molded Dak into a borderline MVP. He didn't win one, but he was been top outside of this year. He's been like top three the last three.
Well, he was also an all pro under
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy. You know what I'm saying? Like
And
I said,
people forget
we
it's
could
like
do a lot. We
there's
could do a
weird
lot
narratives.
worse.
I was just looking up Kyle Shanahan stats. Like Mike McCarthy's like outside of the last like 5 years, and even then the Cowboys have been good. They just lose to the Niners, but Kyle Shanahan's like 70 and 62. Like McVay's way better than him. And it's like we talk about these wonderkins like Matt LaFleur is not Matt LaFleur's worse than Mike McCarthy. They were in the same organization, similar player, like, and he was worse. So, and we would love. I think any Bears fan would love Matt LaFleur to be our coach or Kyle Shanahan, and it's like he's been more successful than them. So that's all. I don't know who it's going to be. I don't know. And Ben Johnson's just a question mark. And we have to wait 3 weeks, which it doesn't bode well because what if Tom Brady convinces them we wait 3 weeks and then we miss out on McCarthy? Brian Flores might be gone then. It's like maybe Joe Brady's gone. Maybe he decides he doesn't want to come to the Bears. Like, who knows? The longer we wait, the more. So I don't want to be sitting there playing musical chairs and then we get where the last one standing around with no dance partner when we've been harping this whole entire time. We could do a lot worse than Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, and I think Mike McCarthy checks a lot of boxes for not just, Bears fans in general, but I think he checks a lot of boxes for ownership. They were talking about how they, are looking for the best guy for the job, a leader of men, this, that, the other, blah, 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 blah. But they also want somebody who, with a little bit of experience, this and the you got a Super Bowl winning coaches don't become available very often.
Yes.
That's just fact. They don't become available very often. You have an opportunity to do that. Of course, as I was saying before too, there's never been a coach in the history of the NFL that's won a Super Bowl with two different franchises. Never in the history of the NFL has there been a coach. And history tends to repeat itself. So, am I expecting Mike McCarthy to be the one that gets us to the Super Bowl? Maybe, maybe it's wishful thinking, but like you've been harping on and like you've been saying, you got to get on base before you can score. You know what I'm saying? You can't always swing for the fences because more times than not, you're going to strike out. It's not like our front office is Barry Bonds up there. You know what I'm saying?
And it's just like I said, you get building
front
a
office. Our front office is more like Adam Dunn.
say fucking Jerry Reinsdorf, but fucking yeah, you got to get in the game. A lot of times, especially in the NFC, it's like you can win the Super Bowl. I mean, I think McCarthy's was one of these years where like people get hurt, you go on a run, you weren't that good of a team, you're a wild card team, you only had 10 wins. Like I trying to build the super team, I just think it isn't going to work. And like you said, maybe he isn't the one that gets to the Super Bowl, but maybe we hire him and we get Kafka as our offensive coordinator, and or something, and he grooms him, and he's the guy, the heir apparent. Like I don't know, but we need some leadership right now. Eberflus obviously wasn't the guy. Too much shit was going on. We need some direction, continuity, and like somebody with some experience to teach Caleb. Waldron wasn't the guy. Eberflus didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Thomas Brown was in over his head. I think Mike McCarthy will be a calming factor in the locker room and put a lot of people on notice.
I've talked myself more into Mike McCarthy than anything, just because I just feel like that's an inevitableness. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at.
It's
that's
safe.
where
That's how the Bears are, and that's how businesses go.
Plus ownership likes to play it safe. They've always played it safe.
If the Lions would have got eliminated this week, I think Ben Johnson would be our coach. But I think we're just in a weird spot where I don't know if the Bears have the balls to wait 3 weeks and to miss out on everybody. I don't know if I even want that. I'm just saying, like, I think we're in a weird position where, like, it's get a coach now. Sorry, Ben Johnson. Like, unless Ben Johnson leaks it out, like, hey, I'm worried about winning the Super Bowl with the Lions, but I want to be the Bears coach. Then, like you said, I think Mike McCarthy by next week, Friday, he'll be getting signed in. And if he isn't, I would imagine that's because Ben Johnson or his agent or his team or whatever has let it known to the Bears that he wants to be there, and that don't worry, you know what I mean, that he's guaranteed them that he's going to be the Bears coach. Because outside of that, can you roll the dice? And like I said, maybe he wants to go live in Florida. Trevor Lawrence has got the same pedigree as Caleb, so they're not a terrible team. And they got an owner who said that he would fire the GM for you. So, again, we'll see. We're talking about coaches and drafts, and maybe we'll start doing some boxes soon. Who do you got winning the national championship before we get out of here?
Oh,
it's the Michigan fans' worst nightmare.
I know.
Ohio State versus Notre Dame, my two least favorite teams.
On paper, Ohio State is the more talented team. They got the best player remaining in the country.
They probably got the best five players. I'd make four, top 3 or 4.
That 17-year-old is what's his name? Ryan Smith. Something.
Jeremiah Smith. Right. No, Ryan Williams is on the Bama. You're talking about Ryan.
Okay. Williams. Yeah. So,
but Jeremiah Smith is the best guy. He's better than Ryan.
He's the best player in the country.
He looks like fucking. And like some of these guys are like, do you even have to play college anymore? Like, he's amazing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. Ohio State is the more talented team.
A lot of Marcus Freeman.
Notre Dame is a better coached team, and they do have the best secondary in the country. It's going to be interesting. I think it'll be a lot closer than what people think, but I think Ohio State pulls it out.
I'll be rooting for Notre Dame for the first time.
I know you will be, but I think deep down inside that
it would be a tough game. But I mean, like I said, we beat them, so we'll see. And Notre Dame plays football like Michigan does, like tough, gritty. Maybe that's how you beat them. But all right. Like I said, help us get to 10K, like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Keep commenting, and we'll see you guys next week for episode 100. Maybe I'll think of something good conversation to talk about. But all right, I'll see you soon.
Yeah, big number 100. We got to do something special for that. That's going to be.
Think of something.
All right, we'll brainstorm.